Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin Nelson. I am going to be doing my presentation on a natural disaster's effect on the economy. Alright, first I'm going to be giving you guys some background information about the earthquakes that I'm going to be talking about. The most recent earthquake happened on Monday, June 12, 2017 on the Greek island of Lesbos. This left 10 injured and 1 dead. Turkey and Greece sit on significant fault lines where earthquakes are likely to happen due to the shifting of plates. This one had a magnitude of 6.2. Another earthquake that I decided to talk about was the Japan earthquake, which happened on March 11, 2011. I wanted to talk about this because the one on the Greek islands doesn't have a lot of information released, and with the Japan one, I wanted to talk about how it affects the economy and the international trade. So this one destroyed 138,000 buildings. It had $360 billion worth of economic damage, which took nearly 7 years to finish. 11 of Japan's 50 nuclear reactors were immediately closed after the disaster. With this, it reduced the country's electricity generation by 40%. As a result of this issue, Japan had to import oil to replace generation capacity. Alright, so now I'm going to be talking about how the earthquake on the Greek islands affected the economy. So earthquakes can put a toll on a country economically depending on the damage they do and the magnitude of the earthquake. Since the earthquake on the Greek island of Lesbos occurred a few days ago, there's limited information about the damage that was done to buildings or surrounding houses. Scores of homes have been damaged on the islands of Lesbos after a quake, with the worst damage reported in the southern village of Versailles, where at least 10 people have been injured and 1 woman had been trapped inside a damaged house. So we have to wonder, where do people stay when this happens? In this case, the army is helping. They'll provide tents for people remaining outside their homes. They will be able to stay in sports facilities. Most deaths from earthquakes are caused by buildings collapsing. People are more likely to die in bad buildings. So they have to get their homes checked after an earthquake happens to make sure it's safe for them to go in there. So natural disasters, they happen suddenly. They put a toll on the economy because there is no gradual decline. It just happens. Natural disasters such as earthquakes, floods, typhoons, and hurricanes inflict serious damage and seem to be bad for the economy. For firms, natural disasters destroy tangible assets such as buildings and equipment, as well as human capital, and thereby deteriorate their production capacity. The impacts from natural disasters can often be fatal and result in factories being forced to close down. Alright, now I will be talking about how the earthquake in Japan affected the economy. This earthquake hit the economy hard. There was damage to Japanese power grid, which led to rolling blackouts. Major companies in the country were shut down or slowed down due to their production, which affected the economy and the international trade as well. At this time, the supply was falling due to the natural disaster, but the demand for the products was down at the time, which was kind of a bonus for Japan. But it just goes to show how a natural disaster can really affect the economy depending on how much damage it does, because you just cannot produce the products to send to other states. Alright, now I'm going to be talking about how the earthquake on the Greek islands and the earthquake in Japan, how it affected the international trade. Natural disasters reduce trade in both exporting and importing countries. In particular, the lower the state of democracy in a country, the more the trading laws. Within the natural disasters, the trade between the states can be greatly affected, but that does not always necessarily happen. With a natural disaster such as an earthquake affecting businesses that deal with international trade, it could cause a huge problem with the economy between other states. If the availability of products from Japan fell, the prices could go up, which could possibly cause an inflation push as those increases pass through to consumer prices. Following the disaster, the value of international trade from Japan increased 12.5% compared to the month before the earthquake happened. During this disaster, the prices in other states did not rise as much as people were expecting it to. The supply was falling due to the natural disaster damaging the businesses, but the demand for the products was down as well at the time, which that happened to be a bonus. The earthquake in Japan was an example of how a natural disaster can affect the international trade and how it affects multiple states.